Hey, it's James. Um, it's it's the season of everybody does a draft review, so I figure after uh, 5 seasons of VBL drafting, I'd hop in on that and make one of my own. We're gonna look at my season 5 BDSP draft team. We just finished up the draft over the weekend, and we'll see how it went. I had the 7th pick in the draft, so just before halfway. So I got barely just a little bit of the benefit of picks closer together, so I was less likely to get sniped. But pretty close to the middle, so it was basically just every 16 picks I got a pick, more or less. Pretty happy with that position overall, and pretty happy with my draft overall. I didn't have a super strong plan going into it. That's not really my draft style generally, and that's been successful or not to varying degrees over the previous seasons. But find a strong Pokemon, and that's still available when it's my first pick, and then go from there. Has generally worked for me. So let's go with that strong first pick, and it was Heatran. Strong Steel type, strong Fire type, great ability in Flash Fire, and there's not a lot of either of those, strong Steels or strong Fires. And also, Heatran's just like a very cool Pokemon. I've never used it in draft before. I like Heatran a lot. It's real bulky and has some strong offense to back up the bulk, which, as people who have played against me know, I do generally like the bulkier teams. And there is obviously that big, bright, flashing ground weakness, but the rest of my draft I think does a pretty decent job of mitigating that. I've also got the water and fighting weaknesses, which also get pretty well mitigated, and I think I'm gonna have a pretty decent team that's gonna let Heatran be important. Moving on to my second pick, went with Crobat, which pairs pretty well with Heatran. They don't cover each other's weaknesses 100%, but definitely the main one here, Crobat, being a flying type, immune to ground, and the ice weakness is pretty well covered by Heatran as well. Crobat, one of the fastest Pokemon in the BDSP format, 130 speed, plus Inner Focus, plus Tailwind, means I can generally get up Inner Focus, or get up Tailwind, when I want it. Which is nice, because that gives Heatran, sort of fixes up this kind of middling speed stat it has. And generally, if I lead Crobat Heatran, you got to be able to take a strong hit from Heatran, because it's probably going next. And it's real strong. So Crobat, also just generally a very good Pokemon. Fastest Nasty Plot user in the format, which is nice. 90 base attack is not bad either. Brave Bird, Cross Poison, two pretty nice stabs. Gets Taunt, which is excellent. A fast Taunt is very nice. And a non-prankster Taunt is pretty nice too, because you can hit the dark types that the prankster Taunt isn't going to hit. U-turn is just, generally nice to have around. And maybe I'll set weather with Crobat sometime. Sunny Day Crobat plus Lava Plume Heatran or something like that. or just Heat Wave even. It seems scary. We'll see how that goes. My third pick, I went with Ambipom, another fast, supportive Pokemon. But in the generally lower powered world of BDSP, 100 base attack is not that low powered. So I can obviously have a great fast fake out from Ambipom. I can also fling, either for big damage with like I'm not sure what the largest base damage fling is, probably TMs or whatever, but Iron Ball if it's in this gen, if it's in BDSP, but I'm not sure if it is or not. But I can also fling things like King's Rock or Razor Fang and get fake outs after turn 1 basically. It's also got great ability in Technician. It gives it a sort of build your own return with a base 105 power double hit and 90 base power covet, which would also be nice if I'm stealing other Pokemon's items. I can then fling again. Skill Link, not particularly useful on Ambipom. His only multi-hit moves are double hit and the 18 base power. I don't even remember what it's called. It's not that great. But so yeah, Skill Link not that great, but Technician pretty nice. Pickup unlikely to be useful, but maybe we'll see. We'll see if I can find a way to make that work. Moving on to my fourth Pokemon here. Do a little bit of water type mitigation by taking our own strong water type. For Alligator, base 105 attack, has Swords Dance, which is great. Sheer Force Life Orb is gonna be pretty scary, I think. Waterfall, Crunch, Ice, and Thunder Punch all getting the Sheer Force Life Orb boosts. Also gets Earthquake, which is nice. And was apparently everybody's first choice for water types. I've never used Feraligatr before. So far, I don't think I've used any of these Pokemon before in Draft, but pretty excited to see how Feraligatr does. And I've been doing some testing on Showdown just with the crew, just get a feel for the Pokemon, and Feraligatr is pretty scary, so I'm pretty happy with it. Moving on to my next pick here, went with Metacham with Pure Power and then Telepathy if I don't think the attacking is going to be as useful on a particular week. I can run Telepathy Earthquake or Telepathy Lava Plume with Heatran, something like that. And still have that secondary fake out user. Metacham also gets Bullet Punch, which is nice. Unfortunately, no Mach Punch, which I really would have loved. But we are doing a little bit to start to mitigate this fighting weakness that I was sort of growing between my Steel and Normal types here. Having a Psychic type to go along with those is pretty nice. Let's see, move on to my sixth pick here. We've got Wigglytuff. There's not a lot of great fairy types in BDSP. Togetic, Togekiss, Granbull, Gardevoir, and you're already scraping the bottom of the barrel at that after those few. So Wigglytuff, I think, totally serviceable, competitive, to sort of deter opposing Intimidates, which my Metacham and Feraligatr certainly wouldn't mind one bit, with them both being primarily physical attackers. And if I can get a Tailwind up, the Choice Specs Hyper Voice or Choice Specs Coverage Move or Choice Specs Dazzling Gleam can be pretty scary off of Wigglytuff's decent for BDSP special attack stat of 85. Normal, my personal favorite typing. Love it generally as a secondary typing, but it's a Gen 1 normal type, so it's got great coverage moves. It's got, Bolt Beam, Flamethrower. I think it gets Surf too, which is pretty sweet. So I think Wigglytuff's gonna have no trouble earning its place in the squad. Moving on to my next Mon, went with Carnivine, the goofy Venus Flytrap with Rage Powder and Levitate. And that's pretty much the role it's going to support. Be goofy, have Rage Powder, and switch into those Earth Powers and Earthquakes that are going to get pointed at Heatran for sure. It does have a base 100 attack stat and Swords Dance, so maybe we get something going there. We fake out support to let Carnivine get a Swords Dance up, and then throw out some Seed Bombs. I think it gets Earthquake, but probably gets Rock Slide. Everything gets Rock Slide. But yeah, I think Carnivine is a steal at 5 points. I think I would have been perfectly willing to pay, 7, 8 points for it. So 5, I'm super happy with it. Thanks to Jordan for jokingly saying it was going to get second picked, so that I paid attention to Carnivine at all. So Jordan, it's your fault Carnivine's on the team. Thanks a bunch. Moving on to my next Mon. I went with Haunter. I knew I wanted a ghost type. Got normal types. Just doing even more to mitigate this fighting weakness, particularly on Heatran, though Ambipom certainly doesn't want to take close combats from Hitmontop or something like that either. So having Haunter along to soak those up is going to be nice. Haunter, I think, is one of the better NFEs in the BDSP format. Pretty nice 115 special attack stat, 95 speed is nothing to mess with. Levitate is nice. 2 good stabs, Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb, maybe Sludge Wave with the Heatran out. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. And it's also good enough at doing other things that not having Eviolite is not going to be like a crippling weakness for it, right? So it can run a Life Orb, it can run a Focus Sash. Maybe it runs a Specs or a Scarf, something like that. No Icy Wind, which is a bummer. But, I mean, everybody's move pools are worse than they were in regular Sword and Shield, so we take what we can get. And I think Haunter is pretty nice at 8 points. So, happy to have him on the squad. Next, we got Sharpedo. What I really wanted in this slot was a dark type. I now have, 2 poison types at this point, and a fighting type. Don't love taking the psychic attacks. There's some good psychic Pokemon in the Lotties, in Cresselia. Gardevoir, I guess, just takes neutral from Dark, but so I knew I wanted a Dark type. I looked at Honchkrow. I was looking at Spiritomb for a bit, more in the sort of Ghost type slot than for a Dark type, but ended up going with Sharpedo, 120 attack stat, pretty nice. At speed boost, great ability, maybe broken ability, and Sharpedo, I think, is a pretty nice value Dark type at 7 points. You know, Crunch, Sucker Punch, I think, but we could Taunt, maybe roar something out, and speed boost is great. I think I'm gonna get some use out of Sharpedo for sure. Moving on to my last real pick of the draft. I do have an 11th Mon, obviously, but that was just to fill out my last 3 points pick. But I went with Jolteon, which did a nice job of kind of clearing up some of this electric problem I was building here, and had gone mostly unfixed for a good portion of the draft. I was looking at maybe some ground types. There was a while where Pikachu was in my plan here in the sort of 7 or 8 range, but Pikachu got taken by, I think, Tay, and so I got to this point, realized I had 16 points left. I'm looking at the draft board. Oh, do I want to take a 15-pointer and just get something out of the bag for my last pick? Metagross was 16 points, or I probably would have taken it. Staraptor only makes the electric weakness worse. I considered Hippowdon, but I got several Mons that wouldn't mind holding a Focus Sash at least some of the time. And so setting the sand up was not ideal. Electric ended up taking Hippowdon at the end anyway, and I think is totally a good pickup for his team. But ended up going with Jolteon, another Pokemon I like a lot. Eevee being my favorite Pokemon means all the evolutions, can only go down so far. And Volt Absorb does a nice job of handling this. It's no Lightning Rod, but, in BDSP, we take what we can get. Shadow Ball and Electric moves, Hyper Beam, pretty much all its offensive options, but, Helping Hand, Yawn, it is an evolution after all, so it does get a lot of those good EV support moves. Roar is interesting. Fast Roar could be interesting. Well, Roar is minus priority, but even so, Jolteon, pretty sweet Mon. The poor man's Regieleki, as it were. And BDSP is certainly the poor man's format. My final pick, mostly just to fill it out. I don't know that I'll ever bring this last one. Cast Form for 3 points. Its forecast is interesting, getting the different typing depending on the weather. Maybe it shows up 1 week or something like that. We'll see. Probably not though. Like, it gets Weather Ball. That's about it. Like, Cast Form is a fill out your draft, spend all your points kind of pick, which I don't love. I would like to have 11 real choices, and so only having 10 plus maybe a meme pick if I'm, 5-1 in week 7 or something like that. But maybe we'll try and get Cast Form a kill. But it's a cute little squiggly raindrop ghost, and yeah, it is what it is. Overall, I had a lot of fun doing this draft. The BDSP format is wild, and things that you would never think are worth their spot on a team, I think are going to be like pretty decent role players. Carnivine, Haunter, Ambipom, stuff like that. So we're gonna do an old men sit around and talk about all the teams tier list video later, and we'll see how that goes. Probably be a lot of fun, and hopefully the draft will be a lot of fun. The season will be a lot of fun as well. So good luck to everybody, and Braff coming for you week 1. Watch out.